Political analyst Lincoln Mitchell is an adjunct associate professor of political science at Columbia University. I asked him what the convention's speakers could do to energize the election campaign season.
Joe Biden is really the key here. Biden is well known. If you've been following politics at all for pretty much all of my life, you've heard the name Joe Biden. But the number of times where he's had the stage to himself to really speak to the American people have been very few. He's been the sidekick. He's been one of many powerful senators. So his speech is going to be very important. Senator Sanders' speech tonight is also going to be very important because Bernie does speak for a lot of people on the left of the party that aren't crazy about the Biden ticket or even the Biden-Harris ticket. And he will make a speech that says it's time to come together, we should be unified behind this ticket, and I expect that to be very important as well.
Now, so from sidekick to center stage in the past week, there's been a lot of talk about Senator Kamala Harris, the running mate of Joe Biden, perhaps even more so than Biden himself. How important is her speech and her performance on Wednesday?
Well, when a vice presidential nominee is selected by the president, there are some that are relatively unknown. Think you want to go back in history, you know, Gerald in 1984 or someone like that. There are some, Sarah Palin in 2008 is perhaps a more recent example. Harris is not unknown to the American people. She's not beloved by all of them. Certainly those on the right don't like her. But she has been a prominent U.S. senator for the last 4 years and ran for president for most of 2019. So this is not a let's introduce her so that people know who she is, but it is an opportunity for her to speak for the first time in this capacity and to highlight not just her rather impressive resume, but who she is. Despite everything in America, it is significant that an African-American woman will very well be a heartbeat away from the presidency. And the Democratic Party rightly wants to highlight that. Now, Harris comes from a big state. She's a Californian. And what that means is that this kind of stuff, these major media events, aren't new to her. I expect her to do very well in her speech.
Right. What role can the convention play in wooing undecided voters and even perhaps reaching across the political aisle to target more moderate conservatives?
Well, that's very much a theme of this convention. John Kasich, who is not a liberal Republican. I mean, 4 years ago, Michael Bloomberg spoke at the Democratic Convention. If you recall, he referred to Donald Trump accurately as a con man. But Bloomberg by then was kind of an independent. He wasn't really a Republican anymore. John Kasich is a conservative Republican. Susan Molinari, who will also be participating in some respect in the convention, a former Republican congresswoman as well. So they are very much trying to reach out. Now, I don't know that too many people are going to watch this convention or this television on Zoom or whatever and find themselves, wow, now I'm persuaded. But it begins to tell a story that the Biden campaign is not the kind of left-wing socialist idea that Trump wants you to believe, but rather is a very broad coalition that includes patriotic Americans from across the political spectrum. That's the purpose of the political diversity and breadth you're going to see during the next 4 days.
Very quickly, I have to ask this. What is a convention without the crowds? I mean, with everything going virtual, will it have the same impact as years past? Or perhaps will the message reach an even wider audience? What are your thoughts?
Well, without the crowds, the real issue, it's very hard to give a rip-roaring political speech without the crowds. A good political speech maker feeds off the crowds, takes cues from the crowds, know what line is about to work. If you think of perhaps the most famous speech in American political history, the I Have a Dream speech, that was not in the original, that phrase, I have a dream, was not in the original text Martin Luther King prepared to give that day, but he switched to it when he sensed the crowd wasn't quite his yet. Nobody's able to read the crowd during this convention. On the other hand, people are home without a lot to do, so they're more likely to be sitting in front of their computer or the television and watch the convention.